Today, I am going to talk about passive voice. Why do we need to use passive voice? First of all, we use passive voice for style and clarity. What is it about styles? Sometimes when we want to write something objective or to omit the person who does this, we will use the passive voice to highlight the event. How about clarity? Clarity means the sentence only has essential information, and in some cases, who does it is not important. That's why we use passive voice. Passive voice is very easy to use here. Very easy, so don't worry. However, some only some verbs can be used for passive voice, such as be. Do you know the three basic forms of be in the present tense? Is, am, are. And sometimes we can use have or get in informal situations. Let's look at these two sample sentences. In the first sentence, the subject is the judge, and he carries out the action. So we call the judge as the agent of the passive verb. Look at this sentence. The judge will read out the names of the winners in alphabetical order. The action verb is read. The judge will read out. And then in the passive voice sentence, the focus is on what is going to be read out. What will be read out? That's why in the second passive sentence, the judge is deleted. What you can see is the object of the sentence, of the original sentence, the names of the winners. The names of the winners is put at the beginning of the passive sentence. And then we use the past participle of read. Although the spelling is the same, the pronunciation is different. It is pronounced as red, the red color. R-E-D. Okay. However, if the verb is an intransitive verb, what is an intransitive verb? It is a verb with no direct object. If the verb is an intransitive verb, you cannot use the passive voice. One example is arrive. You will never see a sentence like he will arrive the station. You can only see a sentence like he will arrive at the station. You may wonder why we put at before station, because arrive is an intransitive verb. And remember, if the verb is intransitive, you cannot use the passive voice. So here, the post has been arrived. The post is an object. It's not a person or an animal. It cannot move. However, as arrive is an intransitive verb, you cannot use the passive voice, although the post is delivered by a postman or somebody else. And the correct usage is the post has arrived. Some verbs have two objects: direct object and indirect object. And each object can be the subject of the passive verb. What is direct object and what is indirect object? Let's look at this sentence. The manager offered the customer a refund. The customer received the refund. So obviously, customer is the indirect object, and the refund is something that was given to the customer. So the refund is the direct object. Next, both direct object and indirect object can be the subject of a passive sentence. Here, the customer was offered a refund. In this passive sentence, the focus is on who received the refund. So we put the indirect object, the customer, at the beginning of the sentence here. And in the second sentence, the focus is on what was given to the customer. That's why the direct object, a refund, was put at the beginning of the sentence as the subject. Remember, if the object of the passive verb is the indirect object of the active verb here, the object of offered in this case is the customer. Okay, I repeat. The object of offered in this sentence is the customer, which is an indirect object. If this is the case, we need to put a preposition. And in this case, the preposition is to. We make the passive form of verbs in all tenses by using be. In the present tense, be can be is, am, are. And in the past tense, there are two forms of be, was and were. And after the verb to be, we put the past participle of the main verb. Let's look at this sentence. My bag was stolen. And in this case, be in the form of was, and steal is in the form of stolen. And in the second sentence, the murder is being investigated. Here, the tense is present perfect tense, so the verb is in the form of is being. And the PP past participle of investigate is investigated. Next. This table shows how to use modal verbs in passive sentences. In the first category, we can use modal verb followed by verb to be, and then the past participle. Let's look at one example. Candidates must answer all the questions. Here, the modal verb is must, and the verb is answer. In the passive voice, the sentence is like this. All the questions must be answered. The modal verb is must, and then verb to be followed by the PP past participle of answer, which is answered. Here, they have to take a test. The modal verb is have to, and the verb is take. And so the passive sentence is has to be. Why? We use has, not have, because the subject is different. It's the test. It's a singular. And then we use the PP taken after has to be. The second category is verb followed by have been and past participle. Here, someone might is the modal verb, and then perfect. Have stolen is the have been. And then how can we change it into a passive voice? It might, modal perfect, have been here, and past participle, stolen. Let's look at one more sample sentence. The jury ought to have convicted him. Here, the modal verb is ought to, and the perfect form is in have. And then we use the past participle, convicted. And then here we turn it into he ought to have been convicted. The modal verb is ought to. The perfect form is have been, and the PP is convicted. In the third category, we have multi-word verbs. Multi-word verbs have two elements, a main verb and a preposition. Look at this sample sentence. They took the company over in 2001. The main verb is took, and the preposition is over. And in this case, we cannot separate the preposition from the main verb in passive sentences. That's why this sentence, the company was taken by them over in 2001, is incorrect because the preposition over is separated from taken. The correct answer should be the company was taken over by them in 2001. The preposition over is followed closely. The verb taken. There are two more categories of using modal verbs. The first one is make. Okay, make somebody, see, hear, help, or other verbs. And then in this case, see, hear, and help are infinitive. That means you should not add s, es, or ed after these infinitives. And the form is be, past participle, to, and infinitive. Let's look at here. The boss made me. Okay. The boss made me, okay, here, work late. The sentence is in the past tense, and the main verb make becomes made. And the infinitive work remain the same without any changes. If we turn the sentence into a passive sentence, what will happen? First of all, we have a be here, the past tense form of be was, and then made, the PP. After that, we put a to infinitive to work here. One more example. I saw her take it. So the main verb is saw, the infinitive is take. And then the passive sentence, she was seen. Okay, the be was, and then PP, seen. And after that, we add to infinitive to take. The last example is let. Let has no passive. But if we want to express the meaning of let in passive sentences, we can use allow, permit, or give permission. Look at this sentence. The teacher let us leave early. The main verb is let, and then the infinitive is leave. In the passive sentence, we were allowed, permitted, or given permission to leave. Okay, to leave is the to infinitive. Next, we avoid using the passive of the perfect continuous tenses. That means have been, ing. We prefer to use an active form and an impersonal subject such as they or one here. By next month, the murder will have been being investigated for over a year. Okay, the murder is a case in which a person is killed. And then here, will have been ing, okay? This is the present continuous tenses. Since this is a present continuous tense, we should not use passive voice. Then we can use impersonal subject. Here, they. They may refer to police, policeman, okay, policeman, okay. So by next month, they will have been investigating the murder for over a year. We usually avoid repeating the same passive auxiliary forms. What is auxiliary? Here, the contracts have been signed and have been dated in front of two witnesses. So in this sentence, have been is the auxiliary form. And then in this case, you see two have been. They are repeated. There's no need to repeat it for clarity. So this sentence is correct. The contracts have been signed, and then delete have been for dated. Okay, so we just keep the dated. The contracts have been signed and dated in front of two witnesses. When we are reporting speech and we don't want to mention the person, we want to describe an impersonal or general feeling, then we use the passive voice. Here, He was said to be innocent. The subject in this passive sentence is he, okay? And then the passive verb is was said to be, and the infinitive is innocent. Here, what we want to know is who was said to be innocent. We don't care about who said it. And then in the second sentence, he was asked to leave. I just want to know who had to leave. I don't care who told him to leave. That's why the person who asked him to leave is not mentioned in this sentence, okay? Next. It is it passive verb and the that clause. So here, it was said is the passive verb. That clause is that he was innocent. And there are two more examples of this structure. It was believed that this is the passive verb, and then this that the thieves hid in the building is the that clause structure. One more example. It was estimated that, so it was estimated is the passive verb, and that 1,000 Hong Kong residents were stranded in Hubei province is the that clause. Next, we use the same pattern with it when reporting decisions and general feelings. So apart from believed, estimated, we can use decided, agreed, and felt in this structure. And sometimes we put a dummy object, that is they. So what is the meaning of dummy thing? That means the focus is on the that clause. Who did it? It's not important here. They said he was innocent. The most important message is he was innocent. Who said it is not important. But anyway, we put an empty subject they here. And then some verbs to describe states. That means your condition, your situation, like have, be, belong, lack, resemble, and seem. Never use passive voice. Never, never, never. If you see these verbs, okay, repeat. Don't use passive voice. Here, a car is had by John. Okay, the main verb is had. That means have. No, don't use the passive voice. We can say John has a car. Next, but the passive to describe a state which is the result of an action. Then we can use the ed here. He went to the payphone to make a call, but the phone was broken. And then we can say, look at this explanation. Somebody had already broken the phone. It was a broken phone. Okay, broken phone. The state of the phone is broken, so that's why we use it. The phone was broken. So this is the state, okay, of the object of the phone. So this is the first part of passive voice. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me, either through WhatsApp, okay, WhatsApp, okay. Thank you.